What's up, Suplex Nation? You are not going to believe what just went down on Monday Night Raw. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar just collided in an absolute warzone, and I've got every single detail you need to know right now. Welcome back to Suplex Rumble, where we break down the biggest, baddest, and most brutal moments in professional wrestling. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon because we're your home for the hottest wrestling breakdowns on YouTube. Tonight's episode of Raw will go down in history, folks. We witnessed something that's been building for weeks, and it finally exploded in the most spectacular way possible. I'm talking about the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, launching an absolutely devastating assault on the beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. Before we dive into this chaos, let me remind you that everything we discuss here is commentary and analysis of publicly broadcast WWE programming. We're here to celebrate this incredible moment with you, the fans. Now, let's break down exactly what happened. Alright, let me set the stage for those who might have missed the last few weeks of television. The tension between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar has been simmering since their paths crossed again at the beginning of this year. These two titans have one of the most storied rivalries in modern WWE history, and every time they're in the same building, magic happens. Over the past month, we've seen both superstars make it clear that they're not done with each other. Roman, still carrying himself with that tribal chief energy and that undeniable presence, has been making bold statements about his legacy and his position at the top of the WWE mountain. Meanwhile, Brock Lesnar has been doing what Brock does best, being an absolute force of nature who looks like he could flip a car with his bare hands. The WWE universe has been buzzing with anticipation. Social media has been on fire with fans speculating when these two would finally come face to face again. Would it be at the Royal Rumble? WrestleMania? Nobody expected it to happen this explosively on a random Monday Night Raw. Here's what made tonight even more intense. Earlier in the evening, Brock Lesnar had a backstage segment where he made it crystal clear that he was coming for championship gold, and he didn't care who was holding it. Those words? They didn't sit well with the tribal chief. Not one bit. The wrestling world has learned one fundamental truth over the years: you don't poke the bear when it comes to Roman Reigns and his position at the top. But Brock Lesnar? He's never been one to follow anyone's rules. Now here's where things get absolutely insane. Brock Lesnar was in the ring cutting a promo, and I mean he was on fire tonight, folks. The beast was pacing back and forth, hyping up the crowd, talking about his dominance, his legacy, and his plans for 2026. The energy in that arena was electric. Then, out of nowhere, the music hit. You know the one I'm talking about. That entrance theme that sends chills down your spine. The tribal chief was making his presence known, and the crowd absolutely erupted. Roman Reigns walked down that ramp with purpose written all over his face. No smile. No theatrics. Just pure intensity. His eyes locked on Brock like a laser beam, and you could cut the tension with a knife. The commentary team was losing their minds, and honestly, so was I when I watched this live. Here's where it gets good. Roman entered the ring, and for a moment, just a brief moment, these two apex predators stood face to face. The stare down alone was worth the price of admission. Two of the most dominant forces in WWE history, standing nose to nose, neither one backing down an inch. Then boom! Roman struck first. A lightning-quick Superman punch came out of nowhere, connecting flush with Lesnar's jaw. The crowd went ballistic. But here's the thing about Brock Lesnar: you can't put down the beast with just one shot. Brock staggered but didn't go down. The look on his face transformed from shock to pure rage in a split second. But Roman wasn't finished. The tribal chief unleashed a relentless assault, throwing strikes with bad intentions. We're talking about clubbing forearms, brutal knee strikes, and an intensity we haven't seen from Roman in months. The two superstars brawled around the ring like it was a street fight. They crashed into the corner turnbuckles, battled along the ropes, and the officials? They couldn't get anywhere near these two monsters. Multiple referees tried to separate them, but they were tossed aside like ragdolls. Roman then delivered a devastating drive-by kick through the ropes while Brock was against the barricade. The impact was sickening. The beast crumpled, and for a moment, just a moment, it looked like the tribal chief had finally gotten the upper hand on Lesnar. But wait, there's more. As security and officials finally started to flood the ringside area, Roman wasn't done making his statement. He grabbed a microphone and stood over a recovering Brock Lesnar, and the words he spoke sent shockwaves through the entire WWE universe. The arena was in complete pandemonium, folks. I'm talking about a crowd reaction that probably registered on the Richter scale. Half the audience was chanting for Roman, the other half was chanting for Brock, and everyone was on their feet. Security finally managed to create some separation between these two warriors, but the damage was done. The message was sent loud and clear: Roman Reigns is not playing games in 2026, and he's ready to remind everyone why he's called the tribal chief. The camera kept cutting back and forth between Roman, who was standing tall at the top of the ramp, and Brock Lesnar, who was in the ring looking absolutely furious. The beast was being held back by security, and you could see in his eyes that he wanted nothing more than to get his hands on Roman right then and there. The commentary team did an incredible job putting over the magnitude of what we just witnessed. They reminded us of the history between these two competitors, the WrestleMania classics, the championship battles, the absolute wars they've had over the years. But this felt different. This felt personal. Social media immediately exploded after this segment. Within minutes, hashtags were trending worldwide. Fans were posting their reactions, their theories about what happens next, and their dream scenarios for where this rivalry goes from here. The wrestling community was united in one belief: we need to see these two collide again, and soon. What made this attack even more significant is the timing. We're less than 3 weeks away from the Royal Rumble. Both Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar have announced their entry into the Royal Rumble match, which means we could potentially see round 2 of this explosive confrontation in that very match. Think about it: 30 superstars in the ring, over-the-top rope elimination rules, and these two juggernauts trying to tear each other apart while also dealing with 28 other competitors? That's a recipe for absolute chaos, and I am here for it. Backstage interviews after the show added even more fuel to this fire. Other WWE superstars were asked about what they witnessed, and the responses ranged from shock to excitement to genuine concern. Several wrestlers admitted they don't want to be anywhere near Roman or Brock when they're in this kind of mood. Let's talk about what this means for the landscape of WWE moving forward, because this is huge. First, Roman Reigns just made the boldest statement possible. He's essentially saying that he's not content to sit back and let anyone challenge his position at the top of WWE. Whether he's currently holding championship gold or not, the tribal chief wants everyone to know that he runs this company, and Brock Lesnar is no exception. From a storytelling perspective, this is absolutely masterful. WWE has built these two superstars as unstoppable forces, and whenever they collide, it feels like a legitimate sporting event. The unpredictability, the physicality, the sheer star power, it all combines to create moments that wrestling fans will talk about for years. Now let's consider the Royal Rumble implications. Both men entering that match create so many fascinating possibilities. What if Roman and Brock eliminate each other, causing both to miss out on that WrestleMania main event spot? The frustration and rage from that scenario could fuel this rivalry all the way to WrestleMania itself. Or what if one of them wins the Royal Rumble, and the other costs them their WrestleMania moment later? The psychological warfare possibilities are endless. There's also the possibility that this rivalry becomes so intense that WWE management has to step in and create a special match between them before the Royal Rumble, just to try to contain this situation. From a character development standpoint, this attack shows us a side of Roman Reigns that's even more aggressive than usual. The tribal chief has always been calculated, strategic, and methodical. But tonight he threw strategy out the window and let his fists do the talking. That tells me this is deeply personal for Roman. As for Brock Lesnar, you know the beast is going to respond. This isn't a man who takes disrespect lightly. Brock has built his entire career on being the most dangerous competitor in any locker room, and Roman just challenged that reputation in front of millions of people worldwide. The WWE universe is divided right now, and that's exactly what makes this rivalry so compelling. You've got passionate fans on both sides, making cases for why their guy should come out on top. That's the beauty of professional wrestling at its finest. Alright Suplex Nation, let me give you my predictions for where this incredible story goes from here. First prediction: we're absolutely getting a physical confrontation at the Royal Rumble. There's no way WWE keeps these two separated for 3 weeks. Whether it's backstage brawls, parking lot attacks, or in-ring chaos, these two will cross paths again before that Rumble match. Second prediction: the Royal Rumble match itself is going to be must-see television. When Roman and Brock's numbers get called, the entire complexion of that match changes. Every other superstar in that ring becomes a potential victim in their war. Third prediction: this rivalry extends all the way to WrestleMania. These two have main event the biggest show of the year before, and I have a strong feeling we're building toward another epic collision on the grandest stage of them all. Here's what I'm most excited about: the unpredictability. With WWE's current creative direction, they're not afraid to swerve us and take stories in unexpected directions. Maybe we get interference from the bloodline. Maybe Paul Heyman gets involved and plays both sides. Maybe another top superstar inserts themselves into this situation. For those of you making your Royal Rumble predictions, you have to factor in this rivalry. My personal pick? I think one of these two wins the Rumble, but not without complete chaos and a controversial finish that keeps this feud burning hot. I also wouldn't be surprised if we get some kind of stipulation match announced in the coming weeks. Maybe management decides that Roman and Brock need to settle this in a steel cage, or a no disqualification match, or even something we haven't seen in years. The possibilities are endless. What I know for certain is that WWE has just kicked 2026 into overdrive. This attack on Raw reminded all of us why we love professional wrestling: the drama, the athleticism, the larger-than-life personalities, and those unscripted moments where genuine intensity shines through.